venga por mí. Aquí lo espero en Miraflores. No se tarde en llegar, cobarde.
January 3rd, 2026. Latin America's history changed forever. What we used to see in Hollywood movies happened in the middle of Caracas, U.S. Special Forces, in a lightning operation called Absolute Resolve, pulled Nicolas Maduro out of his bed, handcuffed him, and flew him by helicopter onto a warship. Donald Trump immediately stepped in front of the cameras and set a line that sent chills around the world. Venezuela has no owner anymore. We're here to take control of the oil wells. Many are celebrating now. Many say the dictator is gone. But wait, the main question isn't how the U.S. managed to kidnap the president of a country. The scarier question is, how did a country that has the largest oil reserves in the world, even more than Saudi Arabia, reach a point where its army couldn't defend its president for even 10 minutes? To understand the answer to this national humiliation, we can't look at last night. We need to go back 23 years, to the moment a whistle destroyed the fate of 30 million people. Let's go back to the 1970s. Back then, they didn't call Venezuela a starving country. They called it Saudi Venezuela. Money flowed through the streets of Caracas. Their currency was so strong that Venezuelans would fly to Miami on weekends just to buy toothpaste and come back. It was their pastime. What was the reason? Black gold. Venezuela sits on 300 billion barrels of oil. That means every Venezuelan was, in effect, a potential millionaire. And most importantly, they had a company called PDVSA, Petróleos de Venezuela. It wasn't just a company, it was the beating heart of Latin America. The best engineers in the world, Harvard and MIT grads, worked there. PDVSA ran like a Swiss watch, and politicians had no right to interfere. Then, a former paratrooper from the army showed up. A man who promised to take revenge for the poor against the rich. Hugo Chavez. Chavez came to power in 1990. At first, everything was fine. But Chavez had a big problem. PDVSA wouldn't bow to his non-expert directives. Engineers were saying, "Mr. President, you can't take the money for maintaining the rigs and spend it on housing instead. The rigs will break." But Chavez considered those words treason. Tensions rose until 2002 and 2003. The oil company workers went on strike. They thought Chavez needed them. They thought he wouldn't dare touch the heart of the economy. What a huge mistake! One ill-fated Sunday in 2003, Chavez came on live television. He grabbed a referee's whistle. He started reading the names of the senior executives of the oil company. Juan Fernandez, you're fired! Horacio Medina, you're fired! That night, Chavez didn't just fire a few people. Within months, he purged 18,000 of the country's top oil experts. Imagine! 18,000 engineers, geologists, and technicians with 40 years of experience kicked out. Who replaced them? Party loyalists. People who might have known how to chant slogans but didn't know the difference between a oil well valve and a water tap. Chavez proudly said, "We took back the oil company." But in reality, that day Chavez aimed at Venezuela's brain with a gun and pulled the trigger. The body was still warm and moving, but it was dead. You might ask, if Chavez messed things up, why didn't Venezuela collapse for another 10 years? The answer was deadly luck. Right after the dismissal of the engineers, the global oil price exploded. Oil went from $10 a barrel to $140. Free money poured into the country like a flood. Chavez had so much money that the mismanagement by his unqualified managers went unnoticed. Venezuela got the Dutch disease. What does that mean? It means when oil money is available, why grow wheat? We buy wheat from the U.S. Why make clothes? We buy them from China. Chavez nationalized all domestic industries and drove them to bankruptcy. Venezuela became an addict with only one drug. Oil, everything was imported, even toilet paper. But this system had one condition to survive. Oil prices had to stay high forever. And we all know in economics, always doesn't exist. In 2014, oil prices collapsed. Maduro, Chavez's successor, was left with an empty treasury. Now it was time to ramp up oil production to compensate. But remember what happened in 2003? 18,000 engineers had been dismissed. The rigs were worn out and no one knew how to repair them. Venezuela's oil production fell from 3 million barrels a day to under 700,000, essentially nothing. And that brings us to last night, January 3rd, 2026. Why did the U.S. kidnap Maduro? For democracy? For human rights? Don't be naive. The world is thirsty for oil. Venezuela has the biggest oil reserves. But because of that 2003 purge and Maduro's corruption, it can no longer extract its oil. The oil wells are rotting. The U.S. saw Venezuela like an abandoned gas station with a full tank. But the owner has lost the keys and is too weak from hunger to stand. So what did it do? It came, stole the gas station owner, and picked up the hose itself. Venezuela's story is a tale of natural revenge. The revenge of expertise against blind ideology. Nicolas Maduro wasn't kidnapped by Americans last night. 23 years ago, while he stood with Chavez cheering as the elites were expelled, he signed his own arrest warrant. A country that doesn't respect its experts may last a few years on oil money and luck, but eventually, on a dark midnight, foreigners come and take everything, even its president. Do you think Venezuela's future under the boots of American soldiers will be better or worse? Will Venezuelan oil return to the market? Be sure to write your opinions. Share this video with people who think command economy works. See you in the next video. Thanks.